and advocate by passion. Welcome, sir. Either way, make yourself comfortable.
Good afternoon. For my remarks, I hope you don't mind if I tell you all a short story. An extremely common story. One of many similar stories I've come to know over time in my journey through life. One day, sometime around the year 1830, on a plantation in Georgia, a male child was born into the physical and mental confines of slavery. He was given the name Ned. From the earliest days of his life, Ned surely witnessed the cruelty and hardships endured by those held in his power. As he grew into a young man, Ned started a family with a woman enslaved with him. I imagine he savored the moments of joy amidst the difficulty around him. But unfortunately, the cruel hand of fate would eventually hear him, carrying him away from his new friend. Sold to a new enslaver, Ned was uprooted from the family soil of Georgia and transported to the vast plains of Texas. Arriving in Texas around age 27, I imagine Ned carried a heavy heart, burdened by the weight of despair from being sold away from his young family. It was during Ned's first year with his new enslaver in Texas that the Supreme Court delivered the dread Scotland, declaring in 1857 that African Americans were not and could not ever be citizens of the United States. I imagine this news likely pained Ned's soul, as I assume it did all people of color, enslaved or not, no matter whether in the North or the South. In the years that followed, Ned would marry a woman enslaved with him and have 4 kids, establishing a new family in Texas. He would also witness Texas secede from the Union, align with the Confederacy, and live to see the Civil War begin in April of 1861. I can hardly imagine the idea of being stripped away from one's family, taken to a new state, then starting a new family, all while enslaved during the Civil War, and living amongst those fighting to preserve the right to enslave. In 1863, President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation likely reached Ned's ear through the murmurs of his fellow enslaved. The proclamation promised freedom for the enslaved, but stubborn enslavers did not honor that proclamation, and Ned couldn't risk escaping from his enslavement, especially not without his family. He had already lost a family. I would think that the mere thought of losing another family was unbearable. I imagine the weight Ned carried eased a bit at the end of the Civil War. When General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston, Texas, reading General Order No. 3, enforcing the Emancipation Proclamation. The date was June 19, 1865, now commemorated as Juneteenth. At last, Ned was free. As a requirement to rejoin the Union, Southern states were required to complete the voter registration of all eligible male citizens over the age of 21 by September 1st, 1867. Ned's name was entered into the Texas voter registration law on July 24th, 1867, giving crucial details such as his age, number of years he'd been in Texas, and his place of birth, that being Georgia. This marked the first known documented record of his existence. A year later, the 14th Amendment officially granted Ned citizenship, something the Supreme Court said he would never gain because of that pride. I struggle to imagine the emotions that must have gathered in his soul, the recognition of his humanity, even if only on paper. Ned would have 4 additional children after the Civil War. Not knowing how to read or write, Ned would work tirelessly as a farmer, sometimes as a blacksmith, toiling under the sun and still facing racism and oppression. I imagine life was His children all joined him in farming the Texas soil, as did his grandchildren after his death shortly after the turn of the century. Ned was buried in the woods behind a whites-only cemetery in Kilgore, Texas. The marker long since weathered away. Although he lived in a nation that eventually acknowledged his right to freedom, and shortly thereafter finally acknowledged his citizenship, he would continue to experience segregation in life as well as now in death. This climate of racial bias and oppression was not tolerable to his youngest grandson, Miley. So Miley made a difficult decision in the 1930s. Fleeing violent threats from white Americans, Miley sought refuge in California, leaving his Texas family behind and joining the historic Great Migration, the transformative movement of 6 million Black Americans over 7 decades, escaping the clutches of racial violence, seeking economic opportunity and freedom from oppression. In California, Miley would marry and build a life. There, he welcomed a son into the world who he named after his oldest brother, John, who in concert also had a son, who he named John. And that individual was me. So you see, I exist because of a long legacy of persistence and perseverance. Therefore, I find it imperative that I search for, collect, catalog, and regurgitate the many threads of documentation of my family's journey through the American experience. Those items that were buried, hidden, disregarded, or denied. I do that with a sense of responsibility, but also with pride and honor, with my shoulders back, head raised tall. I persist with resilience and determination, intent on reflecting the attributes of my ancestors. And so the story of my great-great-grandfather Ned lives on in the reflection I see in the mirror each morning. But not just mine, the reflection we all see. For no matter whether by force in the South due to an American Civil War, gradual emancipation of the North by individual state law, whether the descendant of enslaved, or both like me, whether you are the descendant of those who were complicit, benefiting from the spoils of colonialism, or those who fought against it, we are all intertwined in a complicated quilt, which is the American experiment. So while looking at my mirror reflection staring back at me each morning, along with determining whether I may need a haircut or make a shave, I also perform a morning self-assessment, ensuring each day that I have not unwittingly perpetuating the unconscious biases of the past time, which I see as reverberating effects of our shared history, a risk we must all be cognizant of. Today, I'm happy to join you all in celebrating the indomitable strength of the human spirit, the manifestation of our shared independence, our collective